Right, a subject that's been covered many, many times before, not just by myself, but many other people. And but what appears to be happening now is that there are a lot of new, younger people learning about what's going on in the world and getting pulled over and getting into a lot of trouble because they're refusing to give their name. So hopefully this will give you a little bit more insight into uh, stopping using the name game and attacking it from a different point of view. Why is it so important for government officials to have our name? They won't tell you this, but there are two systems running side by side, and one is for the living, and the other one is for the dead. Now, unless you know this, you won't know, but the governments can only deal with the dead, and so they have a name base down there, and so whenever you're pulled up or anything, the first thing they'll always ask for is your name and address, because they have to identify whether you're living or dead. If you're living, you don't have a name, you have an identity. If you're dead, you'll have a name. Okay, the system for the dead is highly structured and runs very, very efficiently. It surely does. The system for the living, every man for himself. So unless you know your rights, I can guarantee you have none. The system of the dead has many rule books. Everything is available out there under the dead system. They're called statutes, codes, regulations, bylaws. There are so many rules and regulations out there, but they are telling us that, whereas they won't tell us what our rights are. System for the dead is enforced by governments, police, councils, agents, lawyers, courts, banks. They've got a very, very efficient system, but it must have a name and an address to be able to, for the corporations. Oh, sorry, there's one other thing. They also need consent, but they cannot deal with us if we don't have a name and address. Okay, the system for the living, it's all in one book. That one there, the Holy Bible. Okay, but what has happened is that religion is also part of the dead. And they have been deliberately misleading people into looking for an invisible man instead of saying, hey, look, this is an allegory. It does contain your rights, but if you don't know them, if you listen to us, you'll go believing in the invisible man. Now, if you don't believe me that it's the rule book for the living, just have a look in court. You go into court, the first thing they do is say, put your hand on the Bible. Do you swear to tell the truth? Now, if you swear on the Bible, it tells you in Matthew 5, swear no oaths. The moment you swear on that, you've given up your rights. Plain and simple. You have given up your rights. You go to get a document sworn. They say, do you swear that this is the truth? And you say, yes, I swear. Bang. You've gone from the land of the living to the land of the dead. The living man's rights are contained in the Bible and they're enforced by contract. So we have to make sure of the contracts that are being offered to us. I'm going to show you how anyway. Let's have a look at the name. Now, Bovier's online law dictionary is a pretty good one because everyone can get hold of this. But it says name. One or more words used to distinguish a particular individual, such as Socrates or Benjamin Franklin. Now, this part here, there's a lot more. I'm only giving you the crucial parts. In general, a corporation must contract and sue and be sued by its corporate name. Okay, they're telling you what a name is, what a corporation is. It's a name, so they can only ever sue their corporations which have names. So if you answer to that name, you have become a corporation. Let's have a look further. Corpse, dead. Corporation, an aggregate corporation is an ideal body, telling you it's dead, created by law, composed of individuals united under a common name, the members of which succeed each other so that the body continues the same, notwithstanding the changes of the individuals who compose it, and which for certain purposes is considered as a natural person. So they're telling you there a corporation can be considered a natural person, only if it's got a name though. Get that very clear. It can be considered as a natural person if it has a name. Okay, now we'll look at Butterworth's New Zealand Law Dictionary. Name, a word or combination of words by which a person, place or thing, a body or class, or any object of thought is designated or known. Now the next part here says the Births, Deaths and Marriages Act 1995 provides that any person who has attained the age of 18 or earlier married may, by making a statutory declaration on a form provided by the Register General, declare an intention to abandon the names. Now, if you make a statutory declaration, once again, you go from the land of the living to the land of the dead. If you make a voluntary declaration, that is different. Voluntary is your will. Statutory is their rules. Let's have a look at person. A human being capable of rights, also called a natural person. So it tells you we're not a person. A corporation or legal person, otherwise called an artificial person. The Interpretation Act 1999, Section 29, provides that person includes a corporation's soul. So they keep saying, are you that person? No, I'm not that person. A body corporate and an unincorporated body. Everything in the land of the dead is about bodies and persons and things. Things. By this word is understood every object except man. So man is not a thing, which may become an active subject of right. Okay, the thing may become an active subject of right. In this sense, it is opposed in the language of the law to the word of persons. Now, you'll find that when you become a man or when you uphold your rights, you do have an interest in the thing. That's a bit deep, so I'm not going to go too far there, but person, place, or thing. So, name, a word or combination of words by which a person, place, or thing, that's not the living man. Now that we know that only corporations, persons, and things have a name, how do we talk to government officials who want a name? Because that's the first thing they want. They want to know if you're on the dead register, whether you know your rights. That's all they're after. If you know your rights, if you know that you are living and not dead and that you don't belong to their society, then they cannot contract with you. And it is all about contract. However, if we're after a benefit, then we'll need a name. If you need to go to hospital or if you need to use their banking system or any of the other myriad of things, the benefits, normally the downside outweighs the benefits with their system. But if you want to use their benefits, then you must supply a name. If, however, a corporation is trying to force unsolicited goods and services upon us, then they can only do it with our consent. So what they do is they offer us a contract. They don't actually tell you that. They don't say, look, I'm offering you a contract here. You were speeding. This is a contract. Okay? They won't tell you that, but it is a contract. And unless we agree with it, then they cannot proceed. They need our consent. Important to remember that police and other agencies are very good salesmen and will use more than foot-in-the-door tactics for the sale. One of their best ones is threats of arrest and violence and all sorts of things to get the sale. And they do get the sale. They enforce their contract upon us from fear. The two favourite words, force and fear. They love the F words. When dealing with law enforcement officers who ask for a name, always respond with questions. It's the only thing that they cannot disagree with. You say, oh, I'm only asking a question. So, if they ask for your name, my mother told me I was Johnny. And then say, is hearsay admissible in court? Okay, so you've asked a question there. Is hearsay admissible in court? Of course it's not. So if your mother told you you were Johnny, now there's dozens of different responses that you can use, and I'm sure you're bright enough to work some out. But as long as it's a question, I'll give you a couple more examples. So they ask for your name. So under the Privacy Act, are we required to answer that? Of course you're not. It's private. Example 3. Now, I love this one. Do we have the right to remain silent? Because when they read you your rights, this is what they'll say. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do say will be used as evidence against you. Okay, so they can only proceed if you answer. So if you, every time they ask you a question, you say, do we have the right to remain silent? They say yes. Say thank you. They'll ask you another question. Answer every time, because if you argue, agree, or go silent, that is dishonorable, and straight away you are in contract. So just keep asking questions. Every time they ask you something, don't try and tell them anything. Remember, they are humans just the same as us, and they are doing a job because they don't know any better. When law enforcement officers apprehend us, they're only testing us to see if we know our rights. They want to know whether we're living or dead. If we do not know our rights, they can make money for their corporation by charging us. They don't realise this. They're following their codes and statutes, and they believe that they're doing good. Some of them are waking up, though. It's only doing business by contract, and we must consent to that contract, otherwise they cannot proceed. Government department contacting us by mail, the same rules apply. They're going to send you an offer in the mail, and they're going to make some claim upon us, but I'll show you what normally happens. If you read the letter carefully, remembering they can only deal with the dead, not the living, they're making an offer to us. The letter will address their fictional person, i.e. Mr. John Doe, and then go on to address you. You is plural. It's not us. You is plural. I mean, if if the cops say, you pull over there, or you, is this you? Say, no, I'm not you, because we are not you. It's plural. In response, we must reply to their offer using their name. Okay. Dear John Bigwig, in his private and unlimited capacity. Now, this does scare them, but now we're addressing the man and not the corporation. So if we just put Dear Prime Minister or Dear Minister of Finance or that, we're addressing an office or another corporation. We've got to address the man in his private capacity. We thank John Bigwig for the letter we received today, the 1st of February 2017, but believe that John Bigwig has made a mistake. Always thank them. And look, so many people I've been talking to lately, they don't want to open the mail. They say, oh, no, I'm going to send it back, not at this address and all that. They know where we are 24/7. We have cell phones that can track us down to a foot. So don't play those childish games. They went out years ago. Answer every letter. Do not be dishonourable. While a letter is addressed to John Doe, it claims that you owe us $1,000 and you must make payment by the 14th. As we are not you, we are returning this letter to John Bigwig so that he may forward this letter to you. All right? It's that simple. Court documents are the same. Don't sit on these documents. Open them and send them back within 3 days. 72 hours is all you have. So you must get those documents back as quick as anything. Now, you'll find with court documents, the same thing. They're just an offer to contract. They're saying, we're sending this to a fictional character, but we're going to put it in the post box of the living man. We're taking a bet that the living man doesn't realise that he is going to come and act as surety for a fictional character. So get those court documents back as quick as anything, because once again, it will be you. They'll always address them to the to the corporation, to John Doe, but then they will say, you are invited to this court on this date. So, well, look, I'm not you. Please forward it to you. If we're unfortunate enough to be arrested, they will always ask us to sign something. First, they will take something off us, like our shoes or belt, and then ask us to sign for our property. The easiest way is to say, it's okay, you can keep them. Don't sign for anything. Now, I say that with reservations because I'll show you in the next slide what to do if they force you. But they will use force all the time and just say, look, no, you can keep those. No, that's fine. The property is you, not the property is us, not what they have taken off us. Okay, they will not release us unless we sign something. So read carefully what the text says where we are signing. And this is what it'll say. I have read and understand the following. And then it'll have a place for signature and date. Now, what does understand? It means I stand under you. So if you sign that, bang, yep, I agree. You have authority over me. So what we have to do is cross that out, and we have to signed under duress. Write that there. When the judge sees that, he will say, oh, I don't see anything that can move us forward. Okay, so now we'll go through the golden rules. 1, everything is contract. It's up to you how you respond to that contract. They cannot proceed without our consent. They'll try and force us, but they can't proceed. Never sign anything. Never argue, go silent, or agree. That's dishonorable. Be polite and ask questions. Okay, now, if you follow those 5 golden rules, you should succeed. Don't be afraid of them. That's what they know. The biggest thing is fear, and if we're afraid of them, they know they will win. So hopefully this helps you move forward in your quest.